I first heard the knocking 3 nights ago. It was soft at first, barely enough to stir me from sleep, like a branch tapping against the window. Only, my bedroom window overlooks a sheer drop right down to the street below. There was nothing outside that could make that noise. The first time, I dismissed it as the usual creaks and groans of an old building. But last night, the knocking was louder, insistent. I lay in the darkness, clutching the sheets, the rhythm of the knocks disturbingly familiar. 1, 2, 3, pause, then again, 1, 2, 3. I remembered the empty apartment next door, which had been vacated over a year ago after the tenant left suddenly in the middle of the night. Nobody ever saw him again. It wasn't until tonight that I finally made up my mind to investigate. With nothing more than a flashlight and an accumulating sense of dread, I entered the hallway. The empty apartment loomed with its door parted a little, inviting me to cross the threshold, it seemed. I couldn't remember it being open before. It was musty, stale like some long-abandoned attic. The beam of my flashlight shook as I played it across the room. Dust particles swirled in the air, disturbed by my presence. I almost turned to retreat until I saw a shadow shift along the far wall. I held my breath, staring at space that should be empty. In the dim glow, I could just make out the faint outline of someone. They weren't moving, but hunched in a way that was human and yet not quite right. It didn't move closer to me nor register my presence. Still, I felt a strong urge to approach. I took a step, the breath tight in my chest, the flashlight juddering in my hand. With each step that brought me closer, the room seemed to distort, the walls leaning with a slight tilt, bending around me. I felt like I was drowning, but my feet never moved off the floor. And then it happened. The shadow turned slowly with unnatural deliberation, its head twisting until I was staring into its face. Only, there was no face. Just a smooth, blank expanse of skin, devoid of any features. My flashlight flickered, and the room seemed to pulse, like it was breathing. I wanted to scream, to turn and run, but I found myself rooted to the spot. The figure raised an arm, extending one pale, fingerless hand toward me. That's when I heard the knock again, right beside my ear. 1, 2, 3. The sound reverberated through my skull, every knock of a hammer driving the spike deeper into my mind. I don't recall how I made it back to my apartment, just that I turned the lock and slid down against the door in a cold sweat. My heart was racing, but the knocking didn't follow me. Instead, it stopped, suddenly, as it started. I haven't slept. I sit here writing this with shaking hands, knowing whatever I saw in that apartment isn't gone. I can feel it, just beyond the walls, the presence lingering, silent now, but waiting. Somehow, I know that knock will return, and next time I don't think I'll be able to resist its call.